Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello again. Today we are going to talk about teaching writing skill. Yeah. First of all, introduction. As one of the four language skills, writing has always occupied a place in most English language course. One of the reasons is that more and more people need to learn to write in English for occupational or academic purposes. The English department students especially need to learn to write to prepare themselves for the final academic assignment, thesis writing. Thus, in terms of students' needs, writing occupies an equal role with the other language skills. It is generally agreed that writing is the most difficult skill to master for foreign language learners. In Richards and Renandia 2002, this is due not only to the need to generate and organize ideas using an appropriate choice of vocabulary, sentence, and paragraph organization, but also to turn such ideas into a readable text. In addition, students also have difficulties transferring ideas from their native language into the target language. Traditionally, in curriculum practice, a distinction has been drawn between the activities which focus on products and the activities which focus on process. In Brown 2000, broadly speaking, a project-oriented approach focuses on the end result of the learning process, that is, what the learner is expected to be able to do as a fluent and competent user of the language. In Nunez 1999, process approach, on the other hand, focuses more on the various classroom activities which are believed to promote the development of skilled language use. Currently, new approach to teaching writing has been popularized. It is actually a combination of the two approaches. It is widely referred to as genre approach. In this section, I would like to discuss the natures of each writing approach and details typical characteristics of its classroom practices. The first section presents certain characteristics of the product approach, the second, the process approach, and the third, the genre approach. The product approach, it is a traditional approach of teaching writing in which students typically are provided with a model and encouraged to imitate it in order to produce similar product. Noonan 1999, in the main procedure of the product approach involves imitating, copying, and transforming models provided by the teacher and emphasizing the error-free final product. In Lakey 1996, the main purpose of the learner's writing activity is to catch grammar, spelling, and punctuation errors. In elementary or intermediate level, following this theory, students' activity is to write out grammar exercise. These activities are disguised as composition writing. Those are called guided writing. Classroom activities, typical examples of writing exercise based on the product approach are exemplified in Long and Richards 1990 as follows. 1. Students use notes to write complete sentences following a given model. Model, the gun he carries is never loaded. Lorry or drive, usually overload. Piano, play often higher. Read this description of the port of Calcutta and then write similar descriptions of the ports of Southampton, Marseille, and New York. The necessary information is given below. Calcutta is a port in India. It is situated on the northeast coast on the estuary of the river Hooghly, which flows into the Bay of Bengal. The population of the city is 6 million. The distance from New Delhi, the capital of the country, is about 1,000 miles. Southampton, Britain, South Coast, River Itchen, English Channel, 300,000, London, 80 miles. So these are what is it, the keywords, and the students are asked to do the same thing as the previous paragraph. Yeah. And B, Marseille, France, South Coast, River of Rhone, Mediterranean Sea, 700,000, Paris, 400 miles. And C, New York, the USA, East Coast, River Hudson, Atlantic Ocean, 8 million, Washington, 250 miles. And then the process approach. Proponents of the process approach argue that the procedures of process writing help learners to develop more effective ways of conveying meaning and to better comprehend the content that they want to express. They strongly believe that students can discover what they want to say and write more successfully through the process model, as the process approach is viewed as writer-centered. In the process approach, students are taught strategies that should help them to finally reach a decent product. But of course, the product is still an important goal. But the writing class is more exploratory, less punitive, less demoralizing, and the student writer is less alone. The process approach encourages students to experiment with ideas through writing and to share the writing with their classmates and to get opinion from several people to help them figure out what to say and how to say it. The result is that writing class is suddenly noisy, maybe noisier than the even a conversation class. Students work in groups to write, read each other's writing, and comment on it. In teaching writing as a process, consequently, the students may produce several drafts or versions of the writing with the emphasis on the process of writing and on getting feedback from classmates. Multiple drafts, therefore, are the norm. Everyone writes several drafts, not necessarily so that the result will be error-free, but so that the result will express what the students want to say. The new emphasis on the process, however, must be seen in the perspective of a balance between process and product. The product is, after all, the ultimate goal. It is the reason that we go through the process of pre-writing, drafting, revising, and editing. Brown, according to Brown 2000. Without that final product firmly in view, we could quite simply drown ourselves in a series of revisions. Process is not the end, it is the means to the end. Concerning with the stages in the process of writing, several scholars on the field classify them differently. According to Cowdery, 1995, the process of writing includes planning, drafting, and revising, while Brown 1000 states that pre-writing, drafting, revising, and editing take place throughout the process of writing. And a more detailed account of stages of writing has been proposed by White and Ardent, 1991. Yeah, who state that stages in process writing include generating ideas, focusing, structuring, drafting, evaluating, and reviewing, which all interact recursively. Campbell, 1998, mentions that the stages are illustrated and practiced from the generation of ideas and compilation of information through a series of activities for planning, gathering information, drafting, revising, and editing. According to Batch and White 2000, this sequence of activities typically occurs in four stages: pre-writing, composing or drafting, revising, and editing. Pre-writing is the phase of idea gathering. Drafting is the process of writing a rough outline of what will be addressed. Once students produce a rough draft, they read again, share it with peers or a teacher to receive comments. Then they make a modification to their writings based on the feedback from their peers or a teacher. Revising or elaborating on the first draft take place at this point. Editing, correcting mechanical errors like spelling or punctuation, is the last stage. Some example of the classroom activities. Since writing as a process is oriented towards work in progress and the development of new skills rather than merely evaluative tasks, The classroom practices vary from each other. This often depends much upon the students' experiences and skills when planning and adjusting their writing program. However, when this new paradigm is applied into classroom practice, certain characteristics should be well recognized. Some of the characteristics are as follows. One, instruction should be focused on the writing process. This means that students can initiate into the process and the teacher should prepare to intervene in the students' writing processes with suggestions and correction to help the students overcome difficulties encountered in each of the stages. Number two, the assigned writing tasks should encourage students to write a variety of modes besides expository writing. This is based on the understanding that people do use different modes of writings and they do require different processes. Number three, conferencing is an important part of the classroom activity. It occurs between teacher and students as well as between students. Such activity provides students with immediate, meaningful responses to their writing. This will develop students' ability to reflect upon their own writing and writing of others in a critical and constructive way. Number four, the main role of the teacher is as a facilitator. The teacher no longer focuses just on error in the product but is free to respond to a number of facets of students' writing. This may include understanding and giving nice responses to what the students is writing. Number five, since the teacher's role is as a facilitator, and students will work and help each other rather than work alone or just with a teacher, the classroom will be arranged in the manner of a workshop where students can work in pair or groups. The students, therefore, eventually realize that writing generally requires many drafts and revisions to get ideas into a form of writing. Number six, a bond which ties all members of the class into one community whose each member feels responsible for each other's growth can be created in such classroom. The sense of a community of oneness, in turn, can provide a risk-taking environment, which is very important for learners to be able to grow to their maximum potency. The genre-based approach. The genre-based approach is a framework for language instruction based on examples of a particular genre. The genre-based teaching is concerned with what learners do when they write. It allows writing teacher to identify the kinds of texts that students will have to write in their target context and to organize their courses to meet these needs. One of the most important principles of a genre approach to writing is the emphasis on the functions of language and how meanings work in context. In terms of classroom practices, genre approach is similar to a process approach to teaching writing. However, the genre approach also resembles the product approach in that a model text is analyzed on the basis of grammatical and text features, then is followed by guided writing in a joint construction stage before a final free writing stage. With regards to teaching procedures in genre approach, Hammond in Burns 2001 has proposed a wheel model of a teaching learning cycle having three phases: modeling, joint negotiation of text by learners and teacher, and the independent construction of text by learners. Number one, modeling is the time when the target genre tag that learners should construct is introduced. The discussion focuses on the social function of the genre and on the text structure and language. Number two, joint negotiation of text refers to the stage when learners carry out exercises on relevant language forms in a negotiating process between the teacher and the students. Number three, the independent construction of texts is the stage learners produce actual text through activities such as choosing a topic, researching, and writing. Meanwhile, some authors, Fees 1998, suggest that there are two main teaching learning cycles in standard genre-based writing teaching. Those are writing with a class and writing independently. Writing with a class involves building knowledge of the field, exploring the genre, and enjoying text construction. Writing independently includes building knowledge of a similar field, drafting, revising, and conferencing, and editing, and publishing. Each stage has different purposes in terms of the writing process. Derevian K. 1995 and Bhatt et al. 2001 have designed in genre-based model of ELT through the notion of the curriculum cycle. This is a simple model for developing complete lesson units or cycles around text types or genres to be taught and has as its ultimate aims of helping learners to gain literacy independently through mastery of text types and genres. The descriptions of the cycle and Derivianka 1995 and Barrett all 2001 vary in minor ways, but for phases or stages essential for developing control of a genre may be identified, namely context exploration, text exploration based on model text, joint construction of a text, and individual application. The number one, context exploration, it resembles the pre-writing phase that is typical in communicative language teaching. Number two, text exploration based on model text. It aims to familiarize the learners with the target text or type genre. Number three, joint construction. Construction with the teacher helping each group or pair by turn, or teacher conferencing with individual students. It focuses on a collaborative effort to learn to accomplish a purpose in the language. Number four, individual application. Learners to work individually. Ideally, this is carried out only after the students have successfully produced a jointly constructed text or understanding of a text. Okay, I think that's all from me. I hope you get what is it, big picture of teaching writing skill. Yeah, thank you so much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.